Next up is Dr. Guy Mihindou. Dr. Guy has his PhD in linguistics. If I don't get his introduction right, I'm sure he'll correct it when he gets up here. But he's currently the head of academic development and innovation, a department at the University of Johannesburg. And he's going to talk to us today about the approach to languages, I think a little bit about the power of language. Somebody spoke about the language of learning today and things like that. So I'm going to hand you over to Dr. Guy for his presentation. And like I said, after him, there's one speaker, and then we're going to come to the end of our program. Thank you, Dr. Guy.
Thank you, Pastor Chris. Thank you, Pastor Mongezi and the leadership of Youth. The previous speakers, especially Dr. Rufus, has already plotted or already set the tone with regard to the purpose of learning. And I will follow that. I would like to give you the bigger picture, because myself I function with the bigger picture. So, Nozipo spoke about the language of mathematics. Everything's language as well. And whether you're going to write English, Afrikaans, Zulu, Sepedi, Hindi, or whatever language, they all in language we also have some patterns that you have to follow. Nothing is magical, but you have to continue in that way. So basically what I'm trying to do is that is to take you in a journey. I know some of you are already students, others are still pupils, but we call student whether you're in high school or at university. We are taking a journey from high school to a university. If you are passing with A, you are A student, the moment you reach university, you will quickly realize that your A is not as strong as you thought, because there are a lot of work and the gap is big. Not that it's more difficult, but the work is massive and the time is small. This is why we need to have certain techniques to take the language forward. So I started with part one, your metric. The metric, usually, Dr. Rufus told you why people are assessing you. There's a logic behind people who put this assessment. They're looking for something out of this different assessment. So I put the terms that students like to use. When you say paper one is grammar, they call it grammar. Paper two, they call it books. Paper three, they say creative writing. But at universities, there's another name, it's literacy. We're changing terms, but the same reality. Just like Nozipo spoke about foundations, so we're building, we're scaffolding. Dr. Rufus spoke about the taxonomy, Bloom taxonomy, meaning a brick upon another brick upon a brick. So everything is intertwined, even in languages. Actually, when you master the language, you can master many subjects, because it's all about understanding. So I'll try to go as fast as I can. With part two, will be now at university. As you can see, when you do the books or you do grammar or whatever, there's certain things that are hidden. Reading is the cornerstone at university. If you don't know how to read, if you don't want to read, you are shooting yourself in the foot. Reading is the cornerstone, is the fundamental. And there are a lot of discipline within reading, a lot of techniques, but time will not permit. I'll try to close over. So the other part is writing. Of course, reading and writing are like two faces of the same coin. If you don't read, you can't write. In order to write properly academically, you have to read academically. Now, there's a reading of every day like a journal, and there's academic reading, totally different. So this is what I'm trying to bring. And the last one I will not touch at all, it's research. It's another story altogether. Research now is the combination of everything you've learned so far, and now you display in research. With the language grammar, what they are testing is comprehension. As you can see, reading is still there. But I wanted to tell you that when they give you this assessment in metric, there's a purpose behind. You will discover only when you are now working. Because when you are working, they're not going to give you a second chance. You have to deliver. Let's take an example. You have been appointed as a director or editor of a newspaper. Now, if you do not know the technique of reading, you're not going to lead people who are journalists. If, for instance, you are a director of, let's say, education, your boss, the minister, has to deliver a speech, you have to learn the technique of summarizing, because the CEO or the board of company that don't have time. A report of 20 pages or 200 pages, they will ask you to reduce it to 5 or 3 pages. You must learn the technique of summarizing. This is where we are going, actually, from metric. They put you one brick after the other. The ultimate goal is to be efficient director or whatever you want to be. So this is where we're going. That's why you're learning, reading, understanding, comprehension. Most of the time, people will attend conference and they will give you all the material. They will ask you to summarize, but you are not there in the conference. But your boss wants you to do that. But if in high school, at university, you did not learn this technique, it's going to be difficult. But if you did it, it's become second nature. So it's about analysis. Learn how to analyze. So I will go first. Language matter, part of speech. So they start with the small blocks. They start with the advertising. So this world now is the world of advertising. So everything is intertwined. It's not, don't take it for granted. There's something hidden beyond your paper 1, paper 2. But they give you just small dosage so that when you master the first one, you go to the next one and you become now professional in whatever you do in terms of languages. Translation is one of them. The books. We have drama. One example, actually they're trying to give you an idea of many things within this book, how to project yourself for something that happened before, how to read the movement of a text, how to bring the intonation, the emotions, and everything forward by reading. So you learn many things through languages. There are a lot of things that are hidden there. The novel is a book. They will give you a book, and then you will travel through this book. You will discover other people who you did not know. You may not be able to see, but through this book, you're traveling. You discover other people. So it's important for you to take time. Now, about reading, let me tell you that if you read once and you understand everything, you are a genius. Because it doesn't exist. You have to read again, read again. Until the text now is a part of you and you are part of the text. Now you speak with ease, eloquence, and understanding. So, poem, it's like kind of do you know that the Bible is a set of poems? The book of Psalm, it's David will sing and everything. It's a written melody. So they're teaching all of this. Even in a church, if you see Pastor Chris preaching, Pastor George preaching, they apply this technique behind the scene. If they did not know that, they wouldn't be able to, the Holy Spirit alone will not help you if you don't help yourself by reading. Because you know that you have to have the foundation and then the Spirit of God takes over. Paper 3 is creative writing. That I was telling you that sometimes you will find that one student was asking me, why must we give you 3 pages? Because a lot of imperatives. You are in a company and they tell you that, okay, this report must be out by month end. Okay, you wrote 20 pages, but there are many sections in the company. And then the printer or the editor say that you just have 3 pages because your budget doesn't allow to go 20 pages. And then you have to reduce. But if you, the director or the team leader, did not know how to reduce the technique of summarizing, the technique of writing, you will not be able to function. You will find it difficult. So, likewise, an essay, they can give you just few notes and they ask you to write a report. You must learn how to write an essay, to add more, to be in a situation of, it's a technique that you get when you practice most of the time. So, I'm giving one example, some of examples. Emails, from the mail went to emails, the CV, the newsletter, and so on and so forth. So this writing fit into this reality because you are going to the marketplace and you need to understand that these techniques are helpful. They are tools for you to be a better professional. Speech, I will gloss over this. You know already, we're moving forward because of time. Time is flying here. Also, when you reach university, believe you me, even if you come from a private school, university is not a joke. I don't want to scare you. Those who succeed at university are not the brilliant one, are those who are disciplined. And you will find someone who is your best friend and remove this best friend. It's procrastination that you spoke about. And people fail softly because of procrastination at university. So reading again, writing, we go first. So understanding and comprehension are very key to your success. There are many underlying factors and techniques that you're going to read and everything. So let me give you Let me give you a few. When you read, quick read, you have scanning, skimming, studying, and critical reading. Still reading, but critical reading. Meaning, don't take everything for face value. At high school, the lecturer will almost make a dictation for any subject. The mitochondria, comma, the question is full stop, and you move on. But at university, basically, someone is speaking, there's no time to pause. They are going as if they're running. And you have to learn a technique of making notes, note making, note taking, and so on and so forth. So these are type of the the strategies that you need to have at university. Otherwise, you will see what students call, you will see flames. So critical reading. I was telling you that don't take things for face value, meaning you ask, you interrogate, what was the intention of the teacher or the writer? Because you take everything for granted because it's written, it's published, it's true. No. At university now they ask you, they teach you how to question everything that has been established to make up your own opinion. So critical reading is one that's fundamental. You read again, you ask questions. You tend to be in a shoe or in a skin of the writer to try to understand what was in his or her mind and why, in which circumstances this person wrote this kind of situation. Then you make up your own mind. Critical reading is also to say, people have written before, now it's my turn to also give an opinion. But before you give your opinion, you must first read the opinion of others, analyze. If you are a director, board director, in a boardroom and everything, a good director is someone who can listen, summarize the point of view of each and every one, and give your own opinion. You learn it from high school. That's why we are doing all these papers. One of the technique of reading, SQ4R. So I will not be able to go in the details, but you can see, you see the chapters, for instance. You see every chapters, every section, every paragraph. It gives you an idea as to what this book is all about. So you know without reading first what this author is talking about. You learn this technique and you apply it in the marketplace. Wow, time is going fast. Some tips of reading you can see on this one. Let's go quickly to creative writing. Okay, writing is about content, context, and there's a process in writing. There's a pre-writing. There are many ways of tackling a text, but as I told you, you have to take time and you have to reflect. One example, the process when you write. The pre-writing, you will see that they always have circles, meaning first step you go to draft, or you can start even from pre-writing, then you go to planning. From planning you draft, you have to go back, if it's not okay, you have to reflect, and so on and so forth. You see that it's not once and for all I get a paper and write and it's done. No, it doesn't work that way. You have to practice, and practice again. Some of the features of academic writing, in high school, they just ask you to write, they overlook certain things because they know that you are in a process of becoming a good writer, a good scholar, and so on and so forth. But behind the scene, these are the type of aspect that the lecturer will try to see whether you adhere to this kind of aspects. You are used to introduction, body, and conclusion. Now, at the university, they will add other elements in between that you are not aware of. You see the body? Even within the body, there's different connectors, how to make a text free or difficult, easy to read, and so on and so forth. You have the counter-argument that, for instance, people have an argument to say, no, this is supposed to be like that way. You can't say, no, my grammar say that, no, it doesn't work anymore. At the university, it's not a matter of whether you are right or wrong, but can you prove the logic? Can you give the argument? Can you really put your point across and successfully? This is how the lawyers win the case in court, because they apply this kind of technique. So all of this is to train you because they don't know which career are you going to embrace in the future. That's why they're giving an array of different style and technique of readings and writing. Because the higher you go, the more specialized you become. And each discipline has a certain technique. I didn't even touch this area as well. 5 minutes. Wow, time is going flying. I am almost at the end. So I want to stop here to give you an example of my own life when I was a student and a Christian student. Pastor Chris spoke about depression, spoke about stress management, that when you are stressful, certain things can go very wrong. And I came to a situation where I was now confident in my abilities because God has given me a great capacity of retention. I could block up to 12 chapters, word for word, in my mind. And it became now a stronghold. It became now issue of pride. And I got sick. When I was studying, I studied on one side and everything goes other side. I couldn't retain anymore. The exam was approaching. And you know yourself that now you are in trouble. Because what you're supposed to know, you are not retaining such things. And what happened is that 1 week, I was getting now more nervous because I knew that at that stage, I should be somewhere else. 2 days, I made a prayer. I said, Lord, I'm sorry. I need your help. I need your help. One day, same thing. I study. I can't understand what I'm studying. At 2 hours before the exam, early morning, or 3 hours, early morning, the Lord spoke to me. Be mindful that usually when the exam comes, you know more or less which kind of section the exam will be all about and everything. And the certain section, you know that they're not going to talk about it because we never had time. It was the end of the year, and so on and so forth. So the Lord told me that go to the last chapter of the year. It did not make sense. There's no way this last chapter could have come for the exam. At 1 hour before the exam, my memory came back. But it was now useless. 1 hour, we cannot study all chapters. But when he said, go to the last chapter, I just read the last chapter. I read again. And for the third time, when I came in exam, that was exactly the exam all about. I learned that God is not the God of Sunday. It's also the God of my studies. That day, God became a reality to me. A living God. A God of my studies. Can God, the big God, the mighty God, come to my studies and help me? Ever since, when I pass, I was not taking for granted that I'm good. I was coming and say, thank you, Father, because you have helped me. Thank you, Father. On that note, I want to say, Danki, Kyaleboch, Nkosi, merci, thank you.
Can we clap again for Dr. Guy? I mean, these are pearls. These are pearls. You guys are, I can say, are extremely fortunate. You know, some of us never had the privilege of sitting in such workshops, learning, bringing people who are skilled and knowledgeable to come and, you know, assist and help us. And so please take as much as you can, and God will certainly help you. God will say, thank you so much, Dr. Guy, for that.